Saying will is one of the basic and fundamental daily practices for many Thelemites. It's something I do every single day and multiple times a day, and I find a lot of value in it, so I wanted to share it with you all. I will be providing all of the background you need to understand this ritual, as well as an actual performance demonstration, so you can go out there and practice this ritual immediately. If you're ever meeting up with other Thelemites and there is food involved, then most likely you will run into this ritual. This video gives you what you need to not only understand what is going on, but also participate in it if you wish. For people who are solo practitioners, this is also one of the key rituals you can do on your own. I make sure to demonstrate saying will alone as well as in a group. Although this ritual is a staple of Thelemic practices, you don't have to be a Thelemite to do it. It's open to anyone and everyone who wishes to inject a little more intention, mindfulness, and magic into your day. So, let's talk about what saying will is. Saying will is a ritual customarily observed by Thelemites when dining together. For Thelemites dining alone, this ritual can be adapted and done solo. I personally do this ritual every single day over my main meals of the day. Often people will do this ritual once per day over their main meals such as lunch or dinner. I have 2 main meals a day, so I just simply do it twice a day. Basically, this ritual is a call and response meant to inject intention and mindfulness into mealtime. It turns the mundane act of eating into a magical one. You are converting food into spiritual substance. It's so simple to do, but has the potential of making your day more mindful and magical. Saying will is often compared to saying grace. From an outsider's perspective, the two acts sort of look the same. They are both words and doing things before eating your meal. But their purpose and intention is quite different. The purpose of saying will before you eat is to remind yourself and acknowledge that the actions you are performing are in pursuit of one's true will and accomplishing the great work. Eating allows you to fortify your body with the nutrition it needs to exist and to allow you to do your will. Eating, just like everything else, can be a magical act. So where does this ritual come from? Let's take a look. I am holding a copy of Moonchild, and this book is where the ritual first makes an appearance in 1917. Moonchild is a novel written by Aleister Crowley. In this work, a lot of Crowley's acquaintances appear as fictional characters in the story. I think Moonchild, although a work of fiction, has nuggets of truth and magic woven throughout it, and this ritual of saying will is one of them that you can find in this book. I am sharing with you now a copy of Magick in Theory and Practice. Magick in Theory and Practice was published in 1929, and Saying Will can be found in this book by Aleister Crowley. Magick in Theory and Practice is one of the most influential texts written by Crowley. It's where he goes into the details of defining magic, discussing magical formula, ritual, and practices. Of course, one of those practices he discusses is saying will. This is a copy of Magick Without Tears. What a great book. In 1943, Saying Will makes an appearance in this book in letter A. This book is a collection of letters written by Crowley to his various students. There are 80 letters in this book and a lot of wisdom to be found within them, including saying will. So, something I would like to note here for everyone, especially solo practitioners who just aren't aware of this. There are actually different versions of saying will out there. The ones I'm discussing in this video are the public versions of saying will. As we just talked about, the public versions were published in those 3 books: Magick Without Tears, Magick in Theory and Practice, and Moonchild. And you can refer to those books whenever you want. There is, in fact, a private version of saying will, which I will not be discussing. You will encounter it if you need to know it, but otherwise, don't stress out about it. Everything you need to know to go out there and start practicing a public version of saying will is contained in this video, with lots of other resources that I discuss and put in the description below. Thus far, we have covered a lot of my thoughts on saying will, but my opinion isn't the only one in town. Let's explore opinions of other authors and also speculate on how Aleister Crowley came up with this ritual. Rodney Orpheus has a chapter on everyday magic in his book Abrahadabra, where he talks about saying will. He notes, "When Thelemites sit down to eat, We use this as an opportunity to examine ourselves and our motivations. We do this by means of a short ritual known as saying will. It is best if this is performed by two people sitting down together, but you can easily adapt it for solo use. He goes on to make a point about the great work, which I think is a really solid one. Saying will references the great work, so it's important to have some kind of a handle on that concept. I'll share it with you here. Notice the phrase the great work. The great work is the end result of all our magic, and since all of us are different, the great work will be different for each of us also. Most of us do not yet have a full understanding of what our place in the universe is, so we simply say the great work, and every time we say it, we strive to comprehend more fully what that great work might be for us. In Colin Campbell's book Thelema, he makes a point that saying will is a Eucharistic rite, which I agree with. To quote Colin, similar to the use of 93 in greeting, saying will serves to reinforce the dedication of the participants to the accomplishment of the great work and establishment of Thelema within the course of their own lives. It also serves to make the meal a Eucharistic rite, in that the consumption of food is aimed toward the greater purpose of fulfilling the ultimate will of each participant. So here is where some of the fun speculation takes place. Where exactly did Crowley get the inspiration or come up with this ritual? Richard Kaczynski, in his amazing biography of Crowley titled Perdurabo, explores this. He says that it is possible Crowley got the idea from his father, who was a traveling preacher. One of the ways Crowley's father would engage random people he would encounter on the street in conversation would be to ask them what they were doing at that point in time. Of course, those people would answer, and then his father would ask, then what next? Followed by, then what next, and what next? And so each person was being led down this path of what they were doing with their life and what they had plans to do, and ultimately they would have to acknowledge that one day they were going to die, and thus they should be concerned with whether or not they are going to heaven. And thus Crowley's father would then, of course, try to convert them to his version of Christianity and so forth. So in some sense, Crowley adopts the structure, but completely flips the meaning and intention for his ritual of saying will. On all of my guides and how-to videos, I always like to include a visual demonstration of the ritual. For a lot of people, they may be more auditory learners or text-based reading learners, and that's totally cool. But for my visual learners out there especially, and for the solo practitioners out there, I know how valuable it is to actually see these rituals performed as they would be just out there in the wild as a practicing Thelemite. So here are my demonstrations of saying will. Alright, so I grabbed the nearest Thelemite I could find who was willing and able to help me demonstrate will. Thank you so much, Richard.
My pleasure.
And we have one mic between us, so we're going to try to make it work. Alright, so here is a demonstration of saying will with another person or in a group. Do what thou wilt shall be the whole of the law.
What is thy will?
It is my will to eat and drink.
To what end?
That my body may be fortified thereby.
To what end?
That I may accomplish the great work.
Love is the law. Love under will.
Fall 2. All right, this is a demonstration of saying will by yourself, or in other words, it's the solo version of saying will. Do what thou wilt shall be the whole of the law. It is my will to eat and drink, that I may fortify my body thereby, that I may accomplish the great work. Love is the law, love under will. Fall 2. This has been my guide to saying will. I hope you have found it helpful, insightful, and also inspiring, so that you may go out there and do your will with these tools, tricks, and rituals that you may find helpful along your path. As always, thank you so much for watching, and all of the links and everything you need are below in the description. Please let me know your thoughts in the comments below. I am the center of expression for the primal will to good, and so are you.